Football, basketball, this is No Cap Bets with Plus Mo. No lies, no limits, no long talking. This is No Cap Bets.
Football, basketball, you know what it is. It's actually just football right now. You're betting 10, 20, 50, 100, or the friendly wager with the homie. This is the podcast for you, not industry professionals. Just trying to get you the quick flip off of the sports ting. No lies, no long talking, no limits. This is No Cap Bets. Today is July 7th, 2022. We give you the best picks against the spread. You know how it goes. We do the homework. You win the picks. This episode has been brought to you by BetStamp. I got multiple books. I got to know which one's going to give me the best odds, especially on the CFL, because we're charting new territory. So if you're betting on BetStamp, any game you place a wager on, it gives you real-time odds analysis so you can get the best value. I want to know exactly how I'm doing. I'm 18-6 this week on WNBA. That's another story. Shout out to the homies who fade me all day, every day. Use the promo code NOCAPBETS when you download the BetStamp app right now so you can check out what I'm checking out, get a little more profit, organize your books, get an idea of where you're winning, where your best return of investment's at, and we can make it happen that way. Once again, BetStamp apps with the promo code NOCAPBETS. 4 weeks behind us in the CFL, and I barely know more players than maybe 10. I think I know 10 players, but we're locking it up for week 5 because this is no cap, and we're still learning the rules, but we still got the locks. Don't even question it. This no cap recap we're going to do, it's all about the standings. Let's talk about the Eastern Division. Argonauts 1-2 on the year. That's actually good enough for first place in the East. You can definitely tell that there's some parity. Montreal Alouettes just right behind them at 1-3. They've lost 3 games on the road, won 1 at home. The Ottawa Red Blacks, who I thought would have been way better this year, they're 0-3. And the Hamilton Ticats, probably the biggest surprise of the CFL season, they're 0-4. Can't string together a win for the life of them. Lost 2 on the road, lost 2 at home. In the Western Division, we got the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, 4-0. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. This is kind of like the back-to-back champion of the CFL. They are undefeated. Another undefeated team, we got British Columbia, the Lions. They're on fire. You've heard me talk about them last episode. Nathan Rourke, their quarterback, looks like the best player in the league right now. Calgary Stampeders, they're also 3-0. I'm going to talk about them actually when I get to the locks, but they're definitely undefeated. You got the Saskatchewan Roughriders, they're at 3-1, and lastly, the Edmonton Elks, who've been playing a lot better, but are only 1-3 after their win against Hamilton. But we know why you came. It's not for me to just run off standings and act like I'm one of the CFL analysts. You came for the locks. We're going to give them to you. This is No Cap Bets. Locks coming up next, right after the break. I have talked to thousands of people about achieving their fitness goals, gaining muscle, losing weight, toning, definition, flexibility, you name it. And I'm here to help you with that. So I made a podcast to motivate, change your mindset, boost your confidence starting today, and make sure you stay on that path to getting that body right with exercise. Check out the Body Right podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Bless up.
Jeans look too tight, but that shit just right.
And you know what that means. It's time for the locks. You're listening to No Cap Bets, official No Cap Bets on Instagram. Let's get right to it. First game, we've got Calgary up against Edmonton. Both of these teams 1-2 ATS. Edmonton at home, 3.5-point underdog. First game on the slate tonight. It's been an intense NHL playoff battle, Calgary and Edmonton. These two cities in Alberta hate each other, and Edmonton handled business in the NHL playoffs. It's just as intense when you got these two teams in the CFL who met twice in the last 2 weeks. Now they're battling for province supremacy, right? I love that. That game was decided by 7. Surprisingly, Edmonton who only has one win on the season, was ahead well into the second half and just didn't have enough to ward on a comeback. Calgary is one of 3 unbeaten teams this year with wins against Montreal and Hamilton, both 3-point squeakers. And of course, the aforementioned Elks, they've beat Montreal and Hamilton. I don't know what to make of this info. Do as you wish with it, honestly. But here's the intel. They have been down in the first half in every single one of their games. They're heading into this game after a bye, so either that's going to wake them up from a sluggish start, or they just can't shake the rust off. Edmonton had one of the best comebacks of the year so far. They just beat Hamilton for their first win of the season in a dramatic finish. They got a forced fumble, scooped it up, and ran it up to 6. I personally think when you take a look at Edmonton, they had 2 early blowouts in the season that just didn't show up. But their game against Calgary, they actually held the lead. They battled Hamilton, who is 0-4, but was one of the strong teams, definitely favored to win that game. So I see them progressively getting better. It looks like a letdown spot after a win on the road, but they're coming home. It's their greatest rival in the CFL. I'm leaning with Edmonton at 3.5. I might even take a money line. Next game, we got Ottawa. They're 1-2 ATS, by the way. And then they're up against Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan, we're going to call it 7. It's floating around 6.5 and 7.5. So we're going to call it 7. And let's take a look at both of these teams. Ottawa, rough start, winless, as I mentioned early on in the recap. Just can't put it together. They have a great quarterback in Jeremiah Masoli, but at the same time, you have to wonder, what is Ottawa bringing to the table in terms of putting up points? You can't just have a quarterback. You got to have a great offense. Speaking of great offense, it seems like Saskatchewan is really led through their running game. There's a guy named Morrow. I mean, I'll be surprised. Early outstanding player of the year between him and Nathan Rourke. He's running the league, leads the league in rushing yards. Definitely someone to pay attention to. And here at No Cap Bets, man, we definitely don't like to just play it public, but 3-1 ATS, 7 points. You got the leading rusher. That's going to slow the other team's time of possession down. And I just can't see Ottawa putting up enough points on the road, especially if they couldn't do it at home. Give me the Rough Riders. I'm going with the Rough Riders, 7 points. Next game, we got, this is probably the game of all games, game of the year, at least so far. You have the undefeated Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They're up against the BC Lions. Now, you've heard me rave about the BC Lions up at this point. They're 3-0 ATS and 3-point favorites at home against Winnipeg. Winnipeg narrowly escaped Toronto when the Toronto kicker completely shanks extra point to force overtime. Winnipeg strikes me as that type of team that everybody gets up for. The back-to-back champs, 4-0. A win against this team puts you in the conversation for a Grey Cup easily at this point. The BC Lions have a defense that holds a league best teams to 49 points, but that could be deceptive. With wins against Edmonton and Toronto and Ottawa, those teams represent 3 of the bottom 4 offenses in the league. So right behind those 49 points is, guess who? The Bombers at 63. And when you take a look at this, Winnipeg has 4 wins. Now, BC's got 3. So it would appear to me that BC's got the second best defense in the league. And because Winnipeg's played that extra game, they've got the best defense in the league. It's really hard for me to go up against Nathan Rourke. He's everything you want to see in a young quarterback, but this gives me Golden State, Memphis NBA playoff vibes, where you've got a team that is on the come up against the teams with no plan on going down anytime soon. This game should have some real playoff energy. My guess is it could be a preview of the West Final. Remember, I called it here on this episode. Both teams have talent on both sides of the ball. And as for Winnipeg, I think that game against Toronto where they just won by 1 was a wake-up call. They sat on the lead they sat on the lead, forgive me, and they played pedestrian, let the Argos kind of climb back, get the backdoor cover. But as much as I am aboard the BC Lions train, I got to lean on the experience here. So I'm going to go with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to actually win it outright. It's 3 points, but take them as a dog. We're locking in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. If you like everything that you heard, if you're down to ride these picks and win some money, make sure you do. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, follow, like, catch the podcast on Spotify, follow us on Instagram, official No Cap Bets. It's been another episode of No Cap Bets. We're repping the CFL pretty hard. We'll let you know how it goes this week, man. We got 3 locks in. Bless up.